All right, can we have everybody come in and get seated? We're ready to get going. Can everybody hear me? Can some people in the back raise their hand? Can they hear? My mic is in fact on. Can you hear in the back? All right, everybody kind of come on in. Let's close up the doors. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Joe Bohman. I'm Senior Vice President of Teamcenter, Lifecycle Collaboration Software. And for the next 45 minutes, we're going to do a strategic update for Teamcenter. You know, we've got a lot of content, so let's get rolling. You know, one thing I was thinking is, you guys enjoy my kids? I was watching that presentation earlier, the Ninja Warrior. How many people out there watch that Ninja Warrior? I thought that was incredible, and that guy went, you know, upside down, and I was thinking I could be right there. I've got the bald going, but I don't think I'm quite as much in shape as that guy. So I just always like to start with how we doing in Teamcenter, and I'll just tell you, not to be too modest about it, but we're doing great. You know, Teamcenter, if you look at it from a year-over-year perspective, or you look at the year that just closed out, we had the best year ever. We're growing faster than the overall market, the CPDM market. Triple-digit growth on new applications powered by Active Workspace. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about Active Workspace in this section and in this session, and we're having quite a bit of success there. Triple-digit growth in new applications. 90% growth in mid-market. You know, this is very important to us. A lot of times people perceive Teamcenter to be a product that's great for the enterprise, but it's not as applicable for smaller companies. And with our Rapid Start offering, we're seeing a lot of penetration into the mid-market, 90% growth in that offering. So just like to start out with how the business is going, and the business is actually very healthy and growing very well. Okay, so Tony talked about the digital innovation platform and what we're doing, and it's a really exciting time here at Siemens PLM. I've been in Siemens PLM for over 20 years, 25 years in fact, and never in my entire career have we been at this point where we have such a tremendous kind of growth in what our offering is and the amount of expanse that we're covering. And Tony, you know, went through that and talked about, you know, how mechanical, electronic, software, simulation, the completeness of our portfolio, analytics, execution, automation, manufacturing. And so a question you can ask yourself is, you know, as the portfolio grows, as Siemens PL gets bigger and bigger and covers more and more of the overall domain of our customers, how does Teamcenter fit in? Where does Teamcenter fit in this picture? And the answer is that Teamcenter is really the backbone. It's the backbone of all of this information, and as we make acquisitions and as we bring in companies, the first thing we always do in these acquisitions is we figure out how we're going to plug these acquisitions into our backbone, how we're going to plug them into Teamcenter, and how we're going to enable that overall digital twin and digital thread that Tony talked about. And I'm not going to go through all the things on this slide, but you know, when we think about Teamcenter, we have a very complete offering in terms of being able to plan, and we're going to talk about systems engineering and all the things that we're investing in there, design, mechanical, electrical, software, simulation, and how all of that information can flow into Teamcenter. Share, we're going to talk about visualization and our focus there, collaboration, analytics, reporting, everything we're doing there. And then the platform, it's really critical for us that we continue to invest in the Teamcenter platform and move it forward, because you know, the computing landscape is changing. The landscape that we're in today is very different than the landscape that we were in 10 years ago. And we're making a lot of investment to make sure that Teamcenter is ready for that. End of this month, we're releasing Teamcenter 12. Teamcenter 12, end of this month. So what's in Teamcenter 12? What are the key focus areas that we've thought about as we've put together Teamcenter 12, which is a major release for us? What have we done? What have we focused on? We have focused on 6 major areas, and I'm going to talk about, and through this presentation, we're going to talk about all 6 and what we've done. Ease of use. Ease of use is critical to what we're doing in Teamcenter, and we're going to talk about all of the investment that we're making there. I think you're going to be excited about what you're going to see. Depth and breadth. There is no product that has more depth and breadth than Teamcenter. and we're going to go through that in quite a bit of detail. 3D leadership. We're known for our 3D leadership. We're known for Viz and our JT format, and I think we have some very exciting things that we've invested in and enabled as part of Teamcenter 12. Scalability. Teamcenter is the most scalable PLM system on the market, and we have some exciting news and announcements about what we're doing there. Modern architecture. I talked about what's, the big thing that's happening out there in the computing landscape is cloud. And, that's coming. Amazon AWS is approaching $20 billion of revenue, growing fast. Cloud is here, it's for real. And all software needs to adapt to it, and Teamcenter is very much adapting to it. And cost of ownership. We're working very hard to make Teamcenter an easier product to own and an easier product to deploy. So these are the 6 big themes that we've invested in with Teamcenter 12. And then another great piece of news that I'll give to you is that some of this capability, not all of this capability, but some of this capability, we are able to offer in the 11 stream. And so where it's appropriate, we've brought some of it back to the 11 stream, and then some of it is just simply in the Teamcenter 12 stream. But it's a big release for us. You saw the press release last week, and we're very excited about it. Let's talk about ease of use. A question that I often ask my development team is, I say, why is Apple one of the most valuable companies in the world? They have a market capitalization over $500 billion. Is their hardware better? Do they have a better camera on their phone than Samsung? I think the Samsung camera is probably better. The reason that these guys are so valuable as a company is because they've cracked the code on ease of use. Their products are known as being easy to use, and it makes their products more desirable. In the modern age, with the new generation of people that have grown up with this technology, the expectations of ease of use are incredibly high. So what are we doing in Teamcenter around ease of use? The investment that we've made, and we started on this journey a couple years ago, is we've been investing in Active Workspace. With Active Workspace, we have 2 objectives. We want to have a modern UX, easy to use for the extended enterprise. We want to have a zero-install client with no plugins, and we're achieving both of those. You can see on the right the journey that we've been on. We started with search. Our thought was that every person in the world does a lot of search. They know search is a gateway into all the software that they're using on a regular basis. Then putting in all the good things that make up Teamcenter: workflow, change, document management, visualization, CAD integrations, et cetera. And so when I talk to customers, the #1 question I get about Active Workspace is it ready to do my workflows? Are you complete? When are you going to be complete in Active Workspace so that I can roll it out and do my workflows? And I think for the basic workflows, search, document management, change, what I hear from customers is they love it. It's great. But then what I also hear from customers is I hear, when you get to structure, you're not there yet. You need to do a little bit more work in structure before I feel like I can roll out Active Workspace and be able to really be successful rolling out structure in Active Workspace. At this conference last year, in the Q&A session that we had on Wednesday or Thursday, we talked that we were going to be working on structure, and there was a particular aspect. I don't know if people remember what we said we were going to work on, but I'm very excited to announce Dave McLaughlin here is going to take us through and show us some of the great work that we've been doing over structure over the last year. I think you're going to find it pretty exciting.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Good morning. So as Joe said, the whole last year, the development team's been focused on how to make Active Workspace easier to use, more intuitive, and more productive for everybody from authors to consumers. So he gave me 3 minutes to show you what we accomplished. We did 2,000 stories in development, over 600 of which have UI that you can touch and feel. So I'm going to show you just one little piece of it that I think captures what we did. And then during the week, you got a lot of homework to do to come check it out yourself.
Hey, Matt.
I'm on. So this is the new inbox, the new task layout. I can see right on the face of it what actions I have to take and the buttons to complete them. There's a viewer there in place. I'm going to open my change order that I have to work on today. There's a new layout for change management. I can see at a glance that it's at the executing phase, and our scale is off by a little bit. Hang on 1 second. Can you guys, they're clipping me off the projector. All right, we can try it again. I'm going to lose a little bit of the edge, but I think we'll be okay. Let me try it again. Okay. Yep. All right. So this new layout for change makes it easy to understand what's being changed. This is a new change that I need to go fill out. So we're going to go build that. Now, normally in change management, that's a lot of work. You got to do the design work, and then you got to come back and do all the paperwork to go with it. And so we've completely changed that. We kind of sat down and said, how can we reinvent this experience? And if you think about what you do in Microsoft Office, how do you track changes in Microsoft Office? There's a little teeny thing at the top. You say track changes. So that's what we built. It's called change context. I'm going to set my change context to this change order, and Active Workspace is going to watch me work and do the paperwork for me. Okay? So the first thing I need to do is make a new version to work on. It's going to revise this assembly here. And all this work then is being captured in the background. For those of you who remember, what Joe said is we have trees. And so now we have trees in product structure area. It's simple and easy to use. We don't have to explain it. Everyone gets it. But it's a better tree. It performs and scales across any size of a structure. It expands and gets information as you move down the tree. If you start to load lots of information, it lets go of things you're not looking at anymore. So you can load virtually any size structure on any device. Okay? And it all interacts with the viewer. I can turn things on and off, select them, focus them, and view them. Quantities are packed. Reference designators are packed. Global alternates are ready to go. BOM substitutes are ready to go. Everything you need for core structure management is in the product today. Okay? We completely replaced the table engine underneath it. I can freeze columns and arrange them where we want. And this is throughout the entire product, not just structures. I can just grab columns and rearrange them to where I want. And if that's not enough, he also made a whole new layout that lets me go and change the density of the screen. So for those of you who just still can't get enough information on the screen, you can go to compact mode and get even more. Okay? It's a completely different experience from what it was last year. So let's make some of those changes I got to do. I'm going to edit the structure. I need to change the quantity into something down here. I'm going to change the EMI shielding strip up a little bit. I can edit directly in the tree table view. I can also duplicate parts of my structure. So to make this new frame, I need to swap out the interior frame. But it's not just duplicate. I don't want to make a duplicate part and have to go find it and paste it back into the structure. We made it better. You can duplicate in context. So that structure stays, the replacement you're doing stays in context right where you left it, and you pick up with that new part number. It lets me copy not only at the top level I'm looking at, it can go deep. I can control the naming rules. All those things you need to effectively build and manage structures. And then the last thing I need to do is something really trivial. I just need to revise the document. So even little stuff is captured. It really doesn't matter. All this work I'm doing is what we always did. I can send this to NX and do the detailed work. I can open an office and do all that. You know how that works. The difference is ActiveWorks has been watching me. So that change package, when I look back to it, based on that context I set, has caught everything I did and put it in the right place. Okay? All the new parts I made are in the solution item. All the parts I revised and changed are in the impacted item. Even that document that I flipped at the last minute that I always forget to put in the impacted solution, that's there. And when I go back to that change summary, everything I changed is clearly presented in a simple manner. I can see one-way controller. Okay. I can see the quantity changes I made. I can see the part that I replaced and what it got replaced with. So not only is it more productive for the author, it's more productive for everybody in the system that has to understand that change. And this works in Active Workspace, Rich Client, NX, and other CAD integrations. I complete my task, and I'm done. What do you think?
All right, very cool. I think we, and so now when I talk to people and say, are we ready with Active Workspace? We're ready, deploy it. We've got thin client, replace it. Start there, build out. It's an awesome experience, and I think your users will love it. Most large enterprises have hundreds of different applications that they use to design and manufacture products. And so the question is, how can you get PLM out to all those products? And one of the great things about Active Workspace is it's a pure HTML5 client. And because of that, it easily integrates with engineering applications. Here you can see 15 different engineering applications where we've just put Active Workspace directly in those applications. So people in those authoring applications, they can go in, access PLM information, full PLM information, not some subset, not some custom API or interface. They can access their full PLM information directly from those authoring applications. We're showing 15 because that's all we could fit on the slide. We have a lot more than that. And because of the architecture of Active Workspace, it's very easy for us to proliferate out Active Workspace into all of these authoring applications. But we're making it even more powerful. With Active Workspace 4, which goes with Teamcenter 12, we've redone the UI framework that's under Active Workspace so that it's based on reusable building blocks. So there's a lot less code and it's a lot faster. So I'm going to play a video here that shows the home screen. On the right, it's going to show Active Workspace 3.4. On the left, it's going to show Active Workspace 4, and it's going to show the performance that we get with the change that we've made. So you can see on the left, Active Workspace 4, home screen loaded. There it is, 3.4, still waiting, comes in. It's about twice as fast as if you look at it. And so in general, we're seeing with Active Workspace 4, those initial page loads are about twice as fast with this new framework that we've built. But it's not just about performance. Bottom right, 250,000 lines of code that the Teamcenter development team did not have to write because we're using these reusable building blocks. You know what's great about these reusable building blocks that we're using to put Active Workspace together? They're available to you to do what you need to do. And in the middle, you can see a great story from a customer we have, DNVGL, where they've written everything ranging from small dialogues to a complete verification application using this approach and been incredibly efficient with it. And so we're very excited about that. But we're not done. We're not done. We've gotten a lot of feedback from customers on Active Workspace and where we're going, and where you're going to see us is, we're going in and we're focusing on every screen and we're focusing on every workflow around efficiency, around look and feel, around making things more intuitive. And so you heard Tony mention about this earlier today, but what you'll see at the end of the year from us is you'll see quite a bit of updates in terms of making the data even more intuitive. We're already, I think in the demonstrations that you've seen and that you will see, we've already driven the product forward into a great place, but we're not done. So that's UX. Now let's talk about breadth and depth. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to the Director of Teamcenter Marketing, Bill.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, so I spent a lot of time thinking about what it is that helps our customers make a successful product. And that really gets into what we're trying to achieve with breadth and depth. Now, you might think a successful product is a product that does what it's supposed to do. We knew what we wanted and we designed it in such a way that it delivered what we wanted. But you might think a successful product is one that is delivered on time before your competition. Or you might think a successful product is one that is delivered at a low cost and at budget. Truly, though, a successful product has to account for all of those things. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish with our breadth and depth in Teamcenter. The first thing that we want to do is make sure that we have the technical applications for engineers and so forth to develop the products that they need to develop in a multi-domain perspective and be able to simulate it, make sure it works and does what you need it to do. But at the same time, provide the business with the applications that are going to provide the other characteristics of being successful, being under budget, being delivered on time, and so forth. So we want to go ahead and touch upon a few of those things in this presentation. So one of the areas I want to talk about is Teamcenter Product Configurator. You've probably heard us talk a bit about this. Now, at a high level, what Teamcenter Product Configurator does is allows us to take configuration management, variability planning, and kind of separate that from the product. Historically, they were tied together. So if variability changed, the product changed. And if product changed, then the variability had to change with it and so forth. By separating those things out, we're able to have variability that has its own life cycle so that that variability can be planned up front. It can be reused across multiple different products and so forth. And then we can validate it and so forth and use it on a variety of different programs and platforms and so on. And then also apply that to beyond just engineering. You've seen us configure bills of materials or structures for a very long time. But can we take that and apply it to things like systems engineering and the multi-domain delivery of electronics and software and so on, and into manufacturing and service? That's what Product Configurator helps us do, is reach all those different disciplines and domains. So I've got a demonstration here. Now, this demonstration isn't configuring a bill of materials. Like I said, you've seen us do that a lot of times. What this demonstration is doing is showing how we can configure, in this case, systems engineering data. So what you see is across the top a number of functions and requirements and logical architectural blocks and so forth from systems engineering. And in the middle, you see the variability that we've planned. And so we're copying and pasting variant definitions from one, say, function to another function and so on. And once we've done that, we can then get down into the multi-domain implementation of this variability. So for instance, here we see a wire harness being developed in Capital. In this case, same variability, the ACC level 1, level 2, level 3 that we saw in Teamcenter being fed into the wire harness design application. That variability can then be assigned to, in this case, the functional architecture of that wire harness and which functions are going to apply to which variability. And we can configure this wire harness using that. So if we select a particular option, it down selects what we see on the screen. And then as we go from the functional definition of that wire harness into the actual devices that are being developed, same thing. That variability continues to carry forward throughout this process, so we can configure these devices using that variability as well. Another area I want to briefly talk on is program planning. We've talked a little bit about this last year, but I want to spend a little more time on it because we've done a lot to improve usability, make it more functional, and so on. What program planning does is kind of change how we manage and plan our programs. If you're familiar with Schedule Manager, what we've done in the past is kind of a bottoms-up approach. You would figure out what are all the tasks that I need to do and how long are they going to take, and do those roll up into a higher level project, and what does that all look like, building from a bottom up. Program planning is going to take it from the opposite direction. We're going to go top down. We're going to say first, what are the milestones or the build events or whatever the case happens to be that we need to make sure we meet? And then go a little deeper. What are the deliverables that have to happen at those milestones? And a little deeper from there, what are the changes that are going to help us develop those deliverables? And what schedules do we need to make sure those deliverables get done? But we take this top-down view that we can then change at any time and respond to whenever something happens in our program to make sure that we're able to adapt to things that are happening. So here we see a quick example of a program using program planning. In this case, we have our milestones. And immediately you see something's wrong. We can see these milestones, and that red one tells us there's some issue happening. We can then immediately get into dashboards that provide visibility into what's happening within that milestone. In this case, these are deliverables. And we can very quickly see what the deliverables are that are having an issue. So using the red, yellow, green on the dashboard, we can dive down directly to the deliverables that are causing an issue at that particular milestone. We can then get into what is the development that has to happen for these deliverables. Are there changes that are being executed? What are the dependencies upon those changes? Do they have to happen in a particular order like we see here? We can then also start to adjust our schedule to make sure these deliverables can respond to the fact that they're currently late. So using Schedule Manager underneath program planning, adjust the timing for these deliverables, do a what-if analysis, see how it impacts other deliverables and so on. So now we can make sure we're delivering on time before our competition does. And then one thing I want to add is Cm2 certification. I know a lot of our customers have been asking about Cm2 certification. We've been spending a lot of time working on Cm2 certification, and I'm happy to say that we're here to tell you that we have 4-star certification for Cm2. You know, there's a certain number of requirements that you have to meet, and we've met to achieve this 4-star certification. Not only that, we've formed a partnership with the Institute of Process Excellence. They're here, they have a booth, you can go talk to them, but they'll work with our customers to help you develop Cm2 compliant processes within your organization. So if it's something of interest to you, stop by our booth, stop by their booth, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it. Now, I'm going to hand it back to Joe to talk about what defines a product.
All right. Hey, thanks, Bill. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about history of PLM. So we've already established I'm kind of an old guy, old bald guy, can't do the ninja stuff yet or anymore. But I'm going to do a little PLM ninja here. So when I started in 1992. And my first job in the industry, I was working for an A&D company. And my first job was this company was going through a transformation that all the drawings were down in a drawing room. And if anybody wanted to get a drawing, you'd go down to the drawing room and you'd go and you'd check out a drawing and you'd go look at it. And this company had just spent a ton of money investing in some technology where all the drawings were going to be put on these optical drives, and there was some amazing amount of storage. It had like 2 gigabytes of storage. We were all blown away, like, wow, 2 gigabytes of storage. And the job was to put these drawings onto engineers' desktops. Anybody as old as I am out here remember the drawing department? A few of us out there. So that's where I started. And frankly, you know, in 1992, a lot of PLM was drawing management. What's happened since then with PLM? You know, obviously 3D CAD came in. I spent a fair amount of my time involved in 3D CAD, and you know, there's an explosion of 3D CAD out there in the world. And then along with that came the need to manage a bill of materials with that and to be able to configure it. And we talked about some of the things that we're doing around configuration. And then, you know, all right, you've got all this CAD geometry, you've got all these bills of material and configurations, how do you manufacture it? But what's happening now? What's the landscape look like today? We're seeing an explosion of electronics and software. So what PLM is about and how you see us as a company organizing ourselves and investing is changing. Software and electronics. There's a phrase, I don't know if people have heard it, there's a famous venture capitalist up in Silicon Valley named Mark Andreessen. And he has this phrase, software is eating the world. I deal with companies where they're going to have more software engineers than mechanical engineers in the next year or two. So the landscape is very different today than it was 10 years ago. What does it mean? What companies are doing is they're looking at approaches to pull all of this together, looking at systems engineering and simulation as a way to design the next generation of products that need to live in this environment. And being able to plan and document systems of systems. Manage a multi-domain development process. We start our careers as software engineers, electrical engineers, or mechanical engineers. When a customer buys a product, it's not one or the other, it's all of it. And as organizations, everybody has to be able to pull this multi-domain process together and make products that work together. How do you understand and plan configurations? I talk to a lot of customers and they say, where does your software and hardware configuration come together? Where does that come together? Oh, at the end of the line, you know, we flash something on, you know, we flash something onto the hardware at the end, and that's where it comes together. And frankly, it's not optimal, and the configurations don't always match. And you know, I've talked to customers that have substantial warranty problems because their hardware and software configurations don't match. That's a real problem. How do you simulate this? How do you have a multi-domain simulation process that allows you to understand your product in all of its aspects? So this is the evolution, and this is the new landscape, and this is really what's driving a lot of our investment and where we're headed. So what have we done around this in Teamcenter? Obviously, you know, we're going to do a lot to integrate this data into Teamcenter. What we're building is or what we have built with Teamcenter 12 is we've built a systems modeling interface. You can think of it as an RFLP interface where an engineer can, in one interface with simple access to information, sometimes we call it one click away, answer these questions. As an engineer, what requirements and targets must I meet? What simulations will prove my system? What functional interactions are safety critical? What tests should I execute? What systems do I have to interact with? And so this isn't, drawings or drawing management or CAD configuration. This is engineering and the questions that engineers need to answer in order to be able to design the next generation of multi-domain products. So here we have a video that shows this in action. Here we're working on a new requirement for a long-haul truck. We have an existing truck. We have to expand the gas tank, and we have to, as part of it, so we have a requirement. And so here we see where an engineer can go in, he can understand where a gas tank is used. He can have full traceability from the requirement of a long-haul truck and say, well, that's going to lead to a fuel tank requirement. And you know what? I've got a fuel system, a functional fuel system. Let me look inside that functional fuel system and understand what might be connected with that. I can see that the fuel system is connected to the engine system, fuel cell system, et cetera. I can see that in various different views. But very importantly, using our PHM-made technology, I can see what are the failure modes that might occur as I make changes to the fuel system. And I can understand the design from a failure propagation point of view of that fuel system. And as I make that fuel tank bigger, what might fail? And using this technology, it actually can reason over and say, you know what? There's a 9 out of 10 chance if you change that fuel tank to be bigger, your bracket is going to fail. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the digital thread and this idea of multi-domain engineering. And so with Teamcenter 12 and this systems engineering interface, there's a single place where an engineer can go, collect all of their engineering information together, trace from requirements down into impact. And you can trace, here we showed trace down into failure mode effects analysis, FMEA, but you can also trace down into 1D simulation, you can trace down into test, you can trace down into electrical, you can trace down into software. You can have all of that at your fingertips. Talking about software, I mentioned a lot of customers where the software and hardware configuration meet at the end of the line. We're very excited to announce that, with Teamcenter 12, you'll be able to directly take your software binary from Polarian, as shown there on the left, our ALM tool, and you'll be able to synchronize those software binaries from Polarian and manage it in a multi-domain bill of materials in Teamcenter. So you'll be able to have a single bill of materials that has versioned software deliverables coming from Polarian, and this is actually an open integration. We obviously make this work with our Polarian ALM tool. If you're using a different ALM tool, we'll make that work as well. But the key is that you'll be able to take that software binary, put it into your bill of material, and be able to manage that as an integrated process. Press release going out today. We're very excited to announce a partnership with Obeo, who's a world leader in open systems engineering tools. And here you can see we're announcing a partnership for systems modeling, MBSE, focused on enterprise, SysML, and Capella, model lifecycle management and requirement integration. So press release going out today. You guys can go and go out on the internet. That's what I always do, is Google this stuff and take a look at it. We're very excited. I think we've got some of the Obeo team here in the room, right over here. You guys can go by and say hi. And we're very excited about this. We see MBSE as an area of quite a bit of growth. Quite a bit of interest and excitement around it, and we're very committed to working with Obeo and working with open systems and open approaches around this area. So this is a very exciting piece for us. Okay, so that's breadth and depth. Let's talk about 3D leadership. What are we doing around 3D and driving that forward? Visualization. We talked about active workspace and our maturity in active workspace. Another component of that maturity is the ability to be able to do visualization in active workspace. I'm going to set up this video. The reason I'm going to set it up before it starts playing is because it goes so fast. If I don't set it up, I can't have enough time to talk. So it goes really fast. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to load an entire Eclipse jet in active workspace. So this is about 10,000 bomb lines that are in this particular jet. that we're loading. We're going to load it, and then we're going to do some things with it. So let me show what that looks like. So here you go. It's a private jet. I guess we all wish we had one of these private jets. I go in, open it up in the viewer. It's loaded. That's not sped up. That's not movie magic. That's the real performance using our MMV technology of doing that. Then a lot of people say, well, Joe, that's probably just a shell. That's probably not a real model. There's nothing there. That's how you got it to go that fast. That's not a shell. That's the full model. You can cut sections. You can work with it. You can do all of your engineering work at that sort of performance using massive model visualization is the technology behind that. And so we're very excited about that. That's something that's available in Teamcenter 12 with Active Workspace. Another area that we're investing in is virtual reality. Virtual reality is a hot topic. I'll just tell you guys a small story about this. I'm always the guy that puts the virtual reality goggles on and gets a headache. Anybody here in the room get the headache when they put on the virtual reality goggles? We got a couple of us out there. I'll just tell you, the technology has moved forward. It's really good. I don't get a headache anymore. This stuff is really compelling. And what's really neat about this is no setup. I talk to a lot of customers where they've purchased expensive virtual reality solutions where they have to, if they want to have a design review tomorrow, you have to do some setup. You have to say, hey, go talk to somebody. Hey, Bob, I've got a design review tomorrow. Can you prep the data for me and feed it into my custom VR tool? With this, there's absolutely no setup. Every single one of your Viz desktops today, where you're doing design reviews today, with this piece of software, there's a button in there. It's called Go VR. And with low-cost VR devices, and by low cost, I mean devices that are less than $1,000, you could be doing VR design reviews tomorrow. You should be doing VR design reviews tomorrow because it's compelling. So what does that look like? I'm not going to put on the headset and do it here, but what you see here is, you load up the data in Viz, you press the Go VR button, you're immediately immersed in a virtual reality environment. You have a heads-up display of things that you can do. Here we're using the markup tool, and we're saying, as part of this VR design review, let me do some markup. I've identified a problem in the engine compartment. Let me add some markup to that. Then you might say, is that markup real? Is that part of my PLM backbone? Can I track that? Absolutely. That just created a regular VR, just as if you had done that in a normal Viz review session. So I think we have a very compelling VR offering that at simple hardware, people already know how to do it. You're doing design reviews in VizMock today. You can add the Go VR button, and you could be doing VR tomorrow. All right, let's talk about scalability. This is a pretty nice one. I like this one. We're happy to announce with Teamcenter 12, multi-site, global multi-site is 10 times faster. It's 10 times faster. How did we do that? How did we just suddenly make multi-site 10 times faster? What we did is we looked at the sequence of calls that we're making to the database, and when you talk to a database, you want to talk to it, the technical lingo for it is you want to use a set-based approach. We weren't doing that. We've adjusted to do that. You see, actually, the way we've done it is pretty clever. We have 2 patents that we've gotten for this. There are actually a lot more. This is the only ones that we put on the slide, but we have a couple more. If you go, you can go and look them up. And it's 10 times faster. And so we have a lot of customers that are running global teams, global engineering teams. And this really enables you to have global engineering around the world and have live data fed around the world for global engineering. We think this is very exciting. Modern architecture. The cloud. I mentioned it. Amazon Web Services. Amazon is the big guy here. Azure as well. These guys are growing. Amazon's growing 50%. Azure's growing 100% a year on very large numbers because the cloud story is a compelling story. So what does that mean for Teamcenter and Teamcenter customers? We're ready when you are. We're not going to tell you that you need to move to the cloud tomorrow. But what we are going to say is we're ready on the cloud when you're ready on the cloud. We are running Teamcenter on the cloud for customers today. Right now, at this moment, there are thousands of users running Teamcenter on the cloud. We're certified on AWS and Azure. We have an offering called Managed Services, where we will actually run Teamcenter for you. You know, the interesting thing about us running Teamcenter for you is we have to manage Teamcenter. And we find out maybe it's not as easy as we like it, right? And so it's a nice forcing function. It makes us make the administration of Teamcenter easier. So that's Managed Services. And then Software as a Service, Teamcenter Rapid Start, is you can just go with a credit card on our website and buy Teamcenter Rapid Start in the cloud right now. Really important message here. Active Workspace is our cloud UX. As you make the transition to Active Workspace and all the great usability there, that is our cloud UX. So on that journey to the cloud, the transition to Active Workspace is the first step on that journey to the cloud. We're very excited. We announced at the Hanover Fair about a month ago that we were the only PLM vendor that was selected by Amazon for their industrial software competency program. So you see an announcement in August coming from us and from Amazon. Amazon went around and they did an audit of all the PLM vendors. And across the bottom, you can see the audit. It was based on technical proficiency, proven customer success, rigorous validation. They looked at everybody. They said, you Siemens, you Teamcenter, you're the best in the class here. We're going to partner with you in this software competency program. And so, you know, we're working with them and we're making adjustments to Teamcenter. So it already runs in the cloud, but we're making adjustments so that it runs better in the cloud. Cost of ownership. We're working to lower the cost of ownership. We have a technology called Deployment Center, where we have focused on making it much easier to deploy Teamcenter. Here you can see some of the stats: 96% more efficient at installing, patching, and upgrading, 89% less screens to step through, 79% less input fields, 30% faster install, patching, and upgrades. Now I'm talking about, on that last bullet, we're talking about upgrade weekend. I talk to a lot of customers and they say, you know, it's good that you're making it easier to install, but what I really need is when I take my business down on that upgrade weekend, you need to make that go faster. Because, you know, the upgrade weekend can be a concerning time, right? Because if it doesn't go well, your business is down. You need to make that go faster. And I'm happy to report I had a large customer that did an upgrade using this technology about three or 4 weeks ago. And, you know, on these upgrade weekends, we're all on these mail trails, you know. How's it going? We got this problem, et cetera. We got this mail, you know, it was scheduled to go Saturday and Sunday, and we got this mail Saturday night. You know what it said? It said, we're done. We're done ahead of schedule. It went faster than we planned. And that's what we're focused on. We're focused on making that install, and we're focused on making that upgrade go faster. Okay, so that's kind of the run through all the things that, you know, we're talking about with the 6 key themes with Teamcenter 12. We think it's a very exciting release. We think it's full of exciting new things to really power that digital innovation platform. And as, you know, we make that transition, PL is becoming a bigger place. Mechanical, electrical, software, design, manufacturing, you know, and all looping back through realization with the IoT. And Teamcenter's at the backbone, and we're extending Teamcenter to be a very capable backbone for that. A couple more other things. We'd like to have some fun in Teamcenter. So, you know, with the cloud and the movement to cloud, I think there are some exciting new technologies that we're working on, some innovations. Slack. You know, if you go up into Silicon Valley, Slack is replacing email. You know, if you're 18-year-old right now or 22 years old right now, graduating from college, going to work in Silicon Valley, Slack has replaced email. This is how people collaborate. This is how people communicate. And we're working on integration of Slack with Teamcenter so that you can have full access to the Teamcenter data within a Slack data feed like you see there. And then just some, you know, fun stuff. Hey, Alexa, show me that workflow that's stuck. What's that status? Hey, Alexa, find me that part that Fred was asking about. So we're working on some, you know, exciting interfaces between, you know, Teamcenter and some of these new modern approaches for interface. You know, with that, I would say, you know, please tune in. We've got a bunch of great blogs that we're running about Teamcenter. Join the conversation. You see a list of them here and all the things that we're talking about on those blogs. But there's a website there. You know, this presentation will be posted. Go out there and take a look and join the conversation. And your feedback is important. Get into that app and give us some feedback on the presentation. We'd love to make it better in any way we can. And so I think just to close it up, Teamcenter 12, incredibly exciting release, really driving the platform forward. Come back and see us again next year, and you're going to see a lot more change as we roll forward. Thanks a lot.